I don't even know where to start. Do you, Curt?
Well, first of all, it got crazy quick.
Google had told us this would take a little over 4 hours. But going through all the small rural little cities and little towns with all the markets set up, and even when a market will just appear out in the middle of nowhere, it slowed us way down. Now, all we know about this office where we get our paperwork for the van extended is that it closes in the afternoon. We don't know exactly when. Right now, the GPS says we'll get there at 12:15. We are going, but there's a chance we're going to get there and it's going to be closed, and that is the worst thing that could happen for two reasons. One, we need to get that extension because we only have another day and a half left, and if they won't give it to us, we have to get the heck out of Senegal. So that's a long drive. That will be terrible. But the other bad thing that can happen if this thing is closed is that we would have to spend the night in the city. And sleeping in the city of Dakar in the van is not something you want to do. For safety reasons and for just the ability to find a place where you can do it. So, y'all got to keep your fingers crossed that this place is open and they give us the extension and we've got time to get out of the big city. Alright guys, so first things, before I even start this vlog this morning, I'm gonna just start letting some footage play for y'all and talk through it. Now you know we're headed to the city of Dakar in Senegal. And we've been warned about the African cities being not only crowded and some of them having some poverty and rubbish, but the chaotic atmosphere that comes with these large African cities. We had been warned that it would overwhelm us. So we were prepared, we thought. Now, when you're coming in, you're on a toll road. The toll road ends as you get closer to the city center where you're gonna exit, but it's basically kind of like an interstate at home. And as you approach the city, there start to be more people on the interstate than cars. The right-of-way is covered with markets and booths selling anything you can possibly imagine, and people everywhere. And when I say booths, I don't mean just scattered out along the fence line. I mean 3 layers deep with alleyways in between these little tents they've built, stacked one on top of the other, like a thick market, literally on the side of what we would call an interstate or a major highway. Then you get to your exit and you take off the exit and you start coming to your first roundabout, and it's absolute chaos because people don't all go the same direction. I guess it depends on the size of your vehicle, because this is the first time we felt like we were supposed to go the wrong way around a roundabout. Now I'm lucky, I'm just the passenger in this situation. Curt's having to drive through this without running over people, cars, motorcycles. And I didn't think we would ever see a city where the motorcyclists drove crazier than Medellin, Colombia. But this place has got it, hands down. And then in some cities, this only lasts for a few blocks right around the core of the market area. But this went on for miles. And, we're headed downtown to where we need to get our van's import permit inspected. So we don't have a choice. We have to do this. Or not inspected, extended. Anyway, we cross a bridge that is like something out of a movie that I've never seen. And I'm gonna just stop here and let some of this play for y'all.
What do you?
Video protected.
Okay, watch, don't run over it, but yeah, we pull it up.
Come.
Give me this permit. Permit.
Passez-moi.
Permit.
Drivers. Passez-moi. My drive.
Like these fuckers have it all.
Now, as the driver through all this chaos, I can tell you, with the combination of foot pedestrians, donkey carts, motorcycles, just collectivo buses, taxis, cars, everything, people just randomly crossing the road, people trying to approach the van to sell stuff. It was complete sensory overload, and you just have to keep your eyes super focused on your mirrors, on what's in front of you, what's behind you, and it was intense. And the roads, by the way, don't necessarily follow a standard grid system, and so there's roundabouts, and on some of these roundabouts the rules weren't as you would expect. For example, if a truck wanted to turn left, instead of going completely around the roundabout, he would just simply turn left into oncoming traffic. Now, there was police at these intersections, so it wasn't as chaotic maybe as I'm making it sound. Yeah, it was. But these trucks would literally go against traffic. And so it was just really, really sensory overload. And as we got to the place where we had to get the tip extension, I pulled into, there was parking, and there's all sorts of parking attendants approaching the van. And, well, we needed to hurry and get in and get out of there. So I jumped out and left Snow with the van. I think that poor girl was terrified, and justifiably so. But she did handle it very well. While the van was parked, she managed to have a conversation. I think the guys just said, you can stay here for 5 minutes, no problem. Fortunately, the process was super quick, super easy. The guy was very nice. Went in, got our temporary import stamped, and got back out, and we got out of there. Now, the second thing we had to do while we were in town was go get groceries at a big grocery store, and we needed some of the big things that we need as we travel: cat food, litter, that type of stuff.
So a few interesting things about the country of Senegal. It is on the poorer side of things on the wealth level compared to countries around the world. It is not, and this is probably by far not one of the poorest countries we will drive through in this West Africa stretch. What is really interesting about Senegal, at least from our research we've done, is right now there's about 19 million people that live here in this country. The median age, the population here is very young. It's like 20 years old. They're having a population boom, and it is projected that their population will almost double in the next 25 years. So if you think this city is crowded now, come back here in 2050 and there's going to be double the people. So just outside of the city, they were actually building a brand new city where they had a beautiful soccer stadium. But I thought that was interesting how young the country is and how fast their population is booming. Now, when we got to the grocery store, Curt did a lot of research, picked out one that we had hoped would have some Western style, some American style products, because he already told you that we need them for the cats. Unfortunately, they did have some cat food, so that is good, that we know G likes. But this is one of the main grocery stores here in Senegal, in the city of Dakar, a major developed city. And there was not as many choices as we had hoped. And that is not a complaint. That's just, as we head farther south along this coast, it's probably going to get harder to find some of the basic things we're used to. So I'm glad we stocked up on litter and the cat food that G really likes and the cat food that Vanna really likes. We'll see if we have enough of the stuff that we really like to make it through. But we did have a little lunch at KFC. Curt's nerves were fried. My nerves were fried. There is a reason we don't like going to cities. It's difficult, it's hectic, and it puts some mental strain on both of us. So we just want to get the heck out of this city. Curt had scoped out a nice little, kind of like an eco lodge out in the rural parts about an hour outside of the city. So that is where we're headed, and we hope that works out to be a peaceful place to recover. And I use that word in all seriousness, to recover from driving through the city of Dakar.
I can tell you without a doubt that this has been one incredibly long day with our travel, 4-hour drive into Dakar, the heart of Dakar, the major Medina, through just chaos and pandemonium and traffic and all the stuff that you guys have already seen. And we had about an hour and a half drive out of the city to this little spot in the nature, and we didn't really know what we were in for. But honestly, guys, this is why we're in Africa. So right now I'm looking at a boboa tree, and up in the tree is a monkey, and one of those hornbills, I think, that we saw in the last video, maybe you can see him flying right there, is flying off. There's other birds all around. There's boboa fruit in the tree. Snow's gonna tell you about these trees and the fruit, but we are in the nature, a really cool place. We are the only people here other than the owners. So we're gonna have a quiet day, night here. There's supposed to be some jackals and some potentially other animals across the way. We don't know what we're gonna see. I'm exhausted, but I gotta get out here for a little bit and see what I can see. So both Snow and I love monkeys. And when we rode back in here, we saw one up in this tree. And now this monkey that I'm showing you right now is the only one we have seen. And well, when he saw me filming him, he kind of crawled across the tree to another angle. But there's different paths and there's different roads around here. So I've been able to work around the tree a little bit and get a different angle. And he is watching me, and I got the camera and he's kind of wedged between a branch. I think he just yawned. But he is just looking at me, and as I'm squatted down staring into the camera, watching him, he is just eagerly watching me, and he is as curious about me as I am about him. Now, I'm not sure if he's trying to assess whether I'm a threat or not. That's probably the case, but his eyes are locked on me. His head's moving around, getting different angles, and I don't know if you can see it. As I moved around the tree even a bit more, I'm able to see his long tail, and he has a super long tail, and it wraps around the tree. And of course he uses it for balance and uses it for stability. I'm not sure what kind of monkey this is. We will definitely find out. But wow, what an amazing sighting right here. He just keeps looking at me and looking at me, and I think he might be going again.
We made it to our campsite, and it was a nice little eco-type lodge out in the middle of, I don't know if they're called prairies. I guess maybe they're called safaris, right next to a tidal river. And the place had a swimming pool that he filled with the salt water from the tidal river. I believe he's from Belgium. His name was Fred. He was super nice. He had a great place for motorhomes to park up underneath the baobab trees, the famous African tree. And it was a great place to recover from the chaos of driving through the city of Dakar. There were monkeys in the trees, donkeys would come up to the side of the van and visit Vanna and G-Money through the screen door. Lots of birds chirping, a perfect place to just chill. So we have left there. We're pulling out bright and early this morning because we have a destination. But on our way out, it's early still because we have a long way to go. And we have to go through this very narrow tunnel-like road that we really hope we don't pass anybody. So we're trying to get an early enough start that there's not much traffic on that road and we can avoid any possible backups. So let's go.
Got it. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bonjour!
Bonjour.
Well, that did not turn out anything like we had hoped for. There was definitely backing up involved. Twice,
A
yeah.
little collectivo was coming back there, loaded full of people.
Yeah, well, at first we were also passing a lot of the women walking to work. I guess there's a couple of those eco lodges out there. And I don't know if we've mentioned it, and I don't know how well it'll show up on the dash cam because it was dark. But the Senegalese women, their dresses, they dress so beautifully. They're always put together. And these were likely cleaning ladies going to clean hotel rooms and stuff. It looked like they're dressed to a T, and it's just the way they dress, isn't it, Curt?
Yeah.
It's so cool. Bright, colorful, long dresses, and they're kind of fitted, and they just, I really, really, really like the way the women here dress. The men dress it up a notch too, but the women, they really bring it home. Sometimes they got the matching headscarves, and it's just really, really cool. But we did have to back up twice. Once was only like 5 feet. We had to pull up, we got lucky, but the second time, that loaded down collectivo bringing everybody to work, we had to back up quite a ways. But we did it without a major fight ensuing. We've made it to the main road. The sun is peeking up. We have about a 3.5 hour drive to get to where we're headed, which is a pretty cool place. And we hope we can get there before the heat of the day and get everything done there we want to do before it gets too hot. So let's go. What are you doing, Pumpkin? You ready to go for a ride? Are you ready to go for a ride? Gonna get your scratchy pad? You gonna get it? You gonna get it? You better go get in your fort. What are you doing? What are you doing? in our 4-hour drive today to get to where we're headed. But I wanted to tell you that once we started getting towards the middle of Senegal, and as we're driving south here, we are seeing a lot of these trees that are legendary African trees. They're called Baobab trees, and they're known as the tree of life. They have giant trunks. Right now, most of these, if they have any leaves on them at all, they're tiny and they're just starting to bud new leaves. But these are called the tree of life for a few reasons. One, their trunk, their giant fat trunk, holds water. And that's how they survive in the harsh conditions. It also puts off a fruit that you don't really have to farm, and is known for being loaded with vitamin C, antioxidants, probiotics, and the fruit can even be ground up and used almost as a medicine in some parts of Africa. But it's definitely something you can eat raw right off the tree, or you can dry the fruit out and grind it up, and they use it to sweeten desserts or make drinks, and it is flavored like, they say it tastes like a grapefruit, a pear, and vanilla all mixed together. Now, some fruit is on the trees, and we've seen some at some roadside markets, but we have not been able to try it yet. The tree is kind of informally protected throughout Africa, a little bit different in each country. But luckily, its wood is soft, so it's not something that's sought after for building. And we were able to camp under them at our camp last night with the monkeys up in top. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the Baobab tree. We have made it to our destination, and I know we're showing you guys a lot of driving footage, but the culture and how it changes from small town to city to village to the middle of nowhere, and how there's always people everywhere you go, and the animals and the donkey cart taxis, maybe one of my favorite things we've seen in a long time. So we're just wanting to make sure we share this with you. There are markets. I think we came through a town where there might have been some sort of festival going on. They had the main road closed and they sent us around, but it has been an adventure to get here for sure. But we are in Senegal, just north of a tiny little country called the Gambia. And the Gambia is completely surrounded by Senegal. So we'll go into that country next. And then when we exit, we'll go back out into Senegal to the south. But right here is a place called the Fathala Wildlife Reserve. Now, this isn't going to be a safari like you would see down in the huge national parks in South and East Africa. They just don't have the ability to do that along the West Coast. They don't have the funding, and they don't have the room for all of the people. But this place is supposed to be well financed and do a lot to take care of some animals. We'll learn more about it, but maybe that have been injured or, held in captivity or whatever. So it's a wildlife reserve where they're protected, and we get to go on like a safari ride and see some of them. It looks like they have a lot of like park rangers and stuff like that. I think there's a restaurant here, and if things go right, there's a very special experience you can do here, but I'm gonna make you wait to see what that is. But this will be our first African wildlife sighting, even though it's not 100% out in the wild. We're so close we couldn't pass it by. Let's go see some animals. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really helps us a lot. And if you want to see more of our videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you know when new videos come out. We'll see you guys in a few days from somewhere out here in the world. Cheers.